apologise for the delay. I know I've been away for quite a long time. I think since May I haven't uploaded a video. Basically, I just had a busy couple of months with work, so I'm hoping to get back on it. It's good to be busy with work. I'm glad for the work, but also it's been a shame that I haven't been able to upload. There's been other reasons as well. You know, we have work going on outside and it's always so noisy. I've been really tired, I don't know why. And also I haven't been journaling as much as I normally do, which is a shame. Anyway, I thought for this video and going forward, I still want to kind of keep the same format. I'll show you what I've done in my diary and then I'll show some actual clips from the day. But I do also want to just show like the more exciting days, I think. Like if I go through every single page, it takes so long, and probably you won't be interested that I stayed home all day and did work and then just watched TV and then went to bed. So bear in mind that I'm only really showing the highlights. I know that's the problem with social media as a whole, but yeah, I will go back. I'll talk about in general what I put on my not so exciting days, because I know that is something that perhaps we all, or most of us, struggle with if we're trying to journal every single day. And it's important to kind of make each day its own day and find something unique about that day. But, you know, I always put the most effort into the days that I go out and do something exciting, because I've got the ephemera. There's more chance to use exciting stickers and washi tape and photos as well. Like, I don't even take a photo every day. I know some people take a photo a day so they can put that in their diary, and that would be a good thing. And I have tried to do that in the past, but it didn't work out. I just forget. So that put paid to that. So what I'm going to show you is, in this video, I think I'm just going to do the 3 days that I went on a trip to Shimoda, which is a seaside town on the Izu Peninsula. Yeah, so there's this huge peninsula that sticks out, and then Shimoda is right at the bottom. And the reason I wanted to go was because my friend who has moved out of Japan, she actually used to rent an apartment there. She lived in Tokyo, but she had an apartment in Shimoda and she would go all the time. And it sounded a really nice place. And I just wanted to see it for myself, so I decided to go. It was technically for my husband's birthday. It was his birthday trip, but I decided where we were going to go. I was like, do you want to go here? And he was like, yeah, sure. So this is the spread. I've got this spread, and I also have this spread as well. So it goes over 3 days. But you can see I took up the majority of Tuesday as well, because I didn't do much on Tuesday. So I'll start with this page, and I'll just talk about basically what I did, or what we did, and briefly what decorations and I used and how I kind of planned out the page. So we went to Shimoda on the July 11th, and we originally planned to go on the train. There's a train called the Odoriko, and there's a very fancy one, and then there's a less fancy one, and we were just going to take the less fancy one. It has really good views of the sea and the coast, I heard, so I really wanted to ride it. And for the occasion, I actually bought, I realised I didn't have this. This is the short story collection by, what's his name? Kawabata Yasunari, who's quite a famous author in Japan. And he wrote a short story called Izu no Odoriko. So the Izu Dancer, I think it's translated into English. And he set it in Izu, I think in, not Shimoda, but where we went on the 3rd day, which I will show you in a bit. So I thought, oh, what a great idea to take this, to get this and read it. So I actually had the bookmark in there and everything ready. And then, of course, we didn't take the train, and we didn't get any time. I mean, I didn't read at all. I'm going to tell you, I haven't read this one word of this. There were other reasons as well, which we'll get into. But yeah, for the time being, I thought I'd just mention that I did actually buy this before the trip. And then, of course, I didn't end up reading anything. It does sound really exciting. I've read one novel by Kawabata before, his most famous one, I think. Or at least it's his most famous in English, which is Snow Country. And I did enjoy it. It was a little bit strange. And I think I misunderstood the word for Milky Way, which I read as a river because it's one way of saying it involves the kanji for river. So I thought he was talking about a literal river, and I was like, why is he looking up at a river? And it really confused me. I don't know why I didn't just look the word up, but oh well. So there's that. But we did have a lot of fun. We did have some drama, which I'll get into on the second day. But just for now, I will talk about the first day. So I stamped this stamp. We went to, as I said, we drove and we stopped off at a service area, the Ebina service area. And there were a couple of stamps actually. There was one stamp, depending on whether you were going from Tokyo or to Tokyo. So you'd be on different sides of the expressway. So, and there were 2 service areas on either side. And I actually preferred the stamp on the other side, but I got this one. I was hoping to get the other one on the way back, but we stopped at a different service area. So, and as I said, renting the car was a bit last minute because we wanted to take our bikes with us, which is linked to the drama of the second day. But I'll get to that. I'm sort of teasing you. That's really bad. Sorry.
Very
Beach. So we stayed at this, it was like a hot springs little accommodation called Shiosai, which is right on the beach. On the first day, we just walked around this beach near the hotel. There was a sushi restaurant in the hotel that was next to us. But yeah, so we went in there and oh my God, this sushi was so delicious. This sushi was amazing, especially this tamago one, the egg omelette one. And then there was a raw shrimp, and it was so rich and creamy. I've never tasted anything like it. It was really delicious. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then we just went back. We had a bath at the hotel. That was lovely. I don't know if people could see in because you know when you go to the like a public bath or something like that, and then they have windows, and you're like, are these windows like private windows where you can only see out and not see in, or are they just normal windows? So we were a bit worried. We were trying to get dressed really quickly just in case. But yeah, we had a lovely time on that first day, and yeah, we were so full and so tired, so we just crashed out. So no reading. I think we just watched a bit of TV and had a can of some kind of alcohol. We did walk to the convenience store. There was a convenience store further along next to the entrance to Shirahama Beach. So in terms of decoration, I added in, as you can see, a little bit of ephemera from, they had a pamphlet for the inn that would you call it, the inn accommodation that we stayed at. So I just put in, this is Shiosai. And the colours tended to be blue and reddy, pink. Here there's blue and pink, and then this is blue and this is pink. So I thought I'd stick to that colour scheme. And luckily my day pull-off calendar, tear-off calendar that I add to every page was also this a pink colour, so that worked out nicely. I added in, so as I said, I added in the stamp, I added in photos, and then here's some sushi stickers from a brand called Otana no Zukan. I've got this washi tape. This is from BGM, and it's just this really cute one. I might have to do the YouTube trick. So it's just kitties on the beach. It's very cute. I've had this a while, but I didn't know what to use it for, so this was a perfect opportunity. And then I also use this stamp, which is from a brand called Nonko Hanko. So I only used part of the stamp, I just inked up part of it, but you can see on this page I used the whole stamp. So for my titles I just used these little stickers from Sue Atelier, which come in handy.
근처에 있는 것 같은데. Oh, lovely.
So on the second day, we had a busy day. We went to the beach in the morning, and we went to this little bakery cafe. It was really sweet, and I also bought these stickers from there by a local artist, I believe, called Tutti. Again, are they in? Yeah. And we went to Shirahama Beach. We walked to this bakery, and we got a little bit of couple of slices of pizza and some coffee. So my husband took a photo. I put that in, and then we went to Shirahama Shrine, which is I stuck a little bit of ephemera from a paper bag we got from there. I actually got some omamori, and I'll try and put in a clip here if I have it. I think I took a quick clip a while ago. It's basically a omamori for a couple, and they look like the traditional wedding outfits for a bride and a groom when they get married at a Shinto temple. So, and I thought they were really beautiful, so I wanted to get those. And I also got a goshuin, which is the temple or shrine stamp, and obviously I didn't have room in here. Let me see if I can show you it. Okay, I found it. So this is the goshuin that I got from Shirahama Shrine. It was really cute. This shrine is, there are other shrines like it in Japan, but it's one of its features is that it has this torii, so the red gate that overlooks the ocean. And I just thought this was really nice, so I got this one. And then I took a picture. There were crowds, so when we got there were people queuing up to take a photo. But we went there and the crowds would kind of come and go, so we tried to go when it was quiet. Of course, it was quiet, and then as soon as we got there was a bunch of people in front of us, but including a bunch of Chinese guys dressed in, they had these masks on. What were they? I think they were lions. I think they had like, you know, the traditional lion masks on. So they were having their pictures taken, but we just waited for a while, and I got some nice photos of that. It was, yeah, really, really beautiful. And then we went into the shrine proper. We'd been to it the night before in the dark, but as I said, I wanted to get the omamori, what are they, protective amulets, the bride and groom one, and I wanted to get the goshuin. So we went to the little kiosk and got those. It was a nice little shrine. And there was also a tourist centre, so I got these stamps from there. You can see it just says Izu Shirahama underneath. So that's the ephemera that I stuck in this part, because this was the first part of the day. And then I also put in a photo of our lunch, which was actually really nice. It was this little Italian restaurant. I think some of the Google reviews were saying that the owners were quite rude, but we had a really nice time. And there's a sign outside that says, what did it say? It was like, because they don't want you to come in with your wet swimming costumes. So they had a sign up, but it was written in English by the owners, and it was something like, I refuse to enter with my wet swimming costume, or something like that. And I was like, what? And then I understood what they were trying to say, but then I thought, should I offer to correct it? But I thought, oh, maybe if it's their translation, I don't want to, it would be a bit rude, so maybe I should have done it for them. But it made me laugh, just this random English. So before I get into the drama, this sticker is by a artist who I really, really like, called is it Rakui Hana? Yes, yeah. So their name is Rakui Hana, and they make a lot of woodblock prints, and they also have some really nice stamps. I bought some recently. I'll try and show them on the video. Yeah. So yeah, they're just really, really cute, like a kind of modern day woodblock print. I couldn't think of the word there. And as I said, I've also got this stamp. I just stamped it here. And then these are just some random stickers that I had. I used this ink for this page. This is Sakura by, it's in the Fujiyama Irodori range. And then I used this ink, Classy Burgundy, from the, I think it's called Taisho Roman range, and they're both by the same company, but I can't remember what they're called, so I'm going to put them on the screen. Teranishi, I want to say. Is it Teranishi? Yeah, so, and I think you can find these in quite a lot of places. I really like this Taisho Roman collection. I think I've got all of the... No, I haven't got all the colours. I've got quite a few of the colours, though. And this one, this Sakura pink colour, I use it all the time. So we went for a bike ride because we took our bikes and we thought, oh, well, we better go for a bike ride. So we wanted to go and see this lighthouse. There was a lighthouse right at the, I think it was called Sumeki Cape. I think that was the name of it. And so we took our bikes and we went, and it was fine on the way there. I'd had a bit of an off stomach all day, but I didn't really think anything of it. Google Maps, even though we were on bikes, took us through a forest. We had to push our bikes through this like forest that kept going uphill, uphill, uphill. We got to right near the lighthouse, and then there were so many birds there. It was amazing. You know, we had our camera with us, so we were spending ages. I think we must have been there about at least half an hour, maybe an hour, just taking photos. Even though it was getting late, and we kept saying, it's getting late, it'll be dark. So then we decided to go back. After seeing the lighthouse, we had a look at the light. We didn't go all the way to it because it was really late. Grabbed some drinks, got back on our bikes, and then on the way back, I had stomach pains and I lost all my energy. I just couldn't. It was so, I think it was because it was humid. And Google was trying to take us through a forest again. It was really bad. We were in the middle of nowhere. I ended up sitting down. I was like to my husband, I said, I can't go on anymore. Like, he was pushing both our bikes at one point because I just was feeling so ill. I was sat on the ground and he's like, well, you need to keep going, you need to keep going. He was panicking because I was getting bitten by mosquitoes. I didn't care. I ended up, my shoes broke because they'd gotten wet. The straps broke, and so I hadn't got a pair of shoes. So I was walking. So my husband gave me his flip flops. He was in flip flops. We ended up, I somehow got back on the bike, and we ended up biking down a hill, and there was a hotel. My husband could ring for a taxi, and the taxi driver was so nice. He was like, basically, my husband's like, we've got 2 bikes. Like, we'll leave the bikes if we need, but we need to get back to our hotel. So we sat in the car park and waited for this taxi. And he was like, well, I'll do what I can. And he basically put one bike in the back with my husband. I was in the front seat, just out of it. He was like, yeah, he was cramped in the back with his bike. And then they put another bike in the boot, what do you call it? The back of the car. The trunk, that's it, the trunk. So one of the bikes was in the trunk, but of course it was one of these old-fashioned cars with the long, thin fronts, bonnets, and that's another British English word. The front and the back were long and thin, so there wasn't a lot of room, and he had to kind of shut the trunk kind of halfway and then put those stretchy ropes around the lid so he could keep the bike in place. And they were doing that and putting that, and he was so he was out of breath, and then he was so kind on the way back, but I could barely speak because I was just just get me home. Oh, it was really bad. So that was the drama, and then I ended up just laying in bed and just lying there not being able to do anything. So that's another reason why I couldn't read, because I was just out of it. Anyway, I'm sorry, that was story time.
Oh, I didn't turn out all that well. Never mind. Oh!
Okay, so the last day, we were both feeling a bit rough, but we did decide to go out and enjoy as much as we could. I was feeling a bit better, and my husband was okay. He was just tired. So we went to a restaurant that we really wanted to go to, called Kimmete, I think it's called. Yeah, so I used the Suatelier little stickers to make a title. And we also it was a place where you could, was kind of a service area. So we got this stamp, and I got some other stamps as well. But you can see here is where the mother lode is. After that, we decided we were going to pop to a place called, it's called Kawazu Nanadaru, which is Kawazu 7 waterfalls. And it was a really beautiful place. One of my favourites was this one here. I put in a photo where they actually have a statue of the Odoriko, the dancer girl from this story, and I guess the male protagonist. As I said, I didn't read it, so I don't know. I really like these bells. They're little glass bells for summer. They really sound like summer to me. And I want to put one on our balcony, but yeah, one day if we ever have a house with a garden, I'm going to put loads outside. It'll just be like a bell paradise. I'll get annoyed in like a day. I'll be like, it's too much tinkling. But anyway, one of the exciting things about these 7 waterfalls, and there were actually 7 waterfalls all the way down this river, were that each waterfall had its own stamp. So you can see that this page, a lot of it is taken up with putting all the stamps, and I kind of put them in the order that we went to them. And we kind of we went up one way and then we came back, and then my husband really wanted to leave because it was getting late, and I was like, okay, let's just see the very last waterfall while we're here. So we did, and it was huge, and I'm glad we went to see it. It was really cool to see. And there was also, at this waterfall, there were some hot baths. I think they were served by the hot springs of the area, because the area has loads of hot spring sources. And there were people, like we could see them in these baths in their swimming costumes, and they were looking out onto the waterfall, and I really wanted to do that, but it was just getting too late, and we would have been too late to return the car, so we decided to head off. But next time, if we go back here, I would go back here and go in a hot springs bath underneath a waterfall. It'd be very cool. So this page is mostly photos and then the stamps, and then I've also got a stamp from when we drove home. We stopped at the Ashigara service area, so there's just a simple stamp from there. And then I also put a picture of Fuji, because on the way back we got some really clear shots of Fuji from the car, and it had this little hat on that was in the sticker. There was this little cloud that was on the top of Fuji, and yeah, it was really cool. So I was taking some video of that on the way back. I also added in a couple of these stickers because I didn't mention it before, but this restaurant, Kinmete, it's hard to say, Kinmete, is famous for, the area is famous for kinmedai, which is a type of fish. This is it. This fish here, it's like a red fish, and it's famous for this. We actually had sashimi, which is raw kinmedai, whereas kinmede is the same kinme as the fish, but then this is like a kind of restaurant, or it's used for like restaurants or accommodation facilities. So it's just like a play on words. But another thing that this area is famous for, you can say, I didn't even mention this, but this stamp from the service area, it's called Tenikoku Michi no Eki, which is like a road station, I guess, if you translate it literally. So it's a kind of station for cars that you can go, and a lot of them are really nice, actually. Michi no Eki in Japan, some of them have like, they sell fruits and vegetables, local fruits and vegetables, and like souvenirs. And this one had a lot of food products and stuff. But this area is actually famous for, Shimoda is famous as the city that an American captain, I want to say, what's his name? Oh, I've totally forgotten. But he came in on a black boat, and he made the government, which was a samurai, it was a shogun government, so there were samurai warlord leaders. They weren't like the traditional samurai. They changed a lot because they've been governing the country for like 300 years at this point. But they had a policy of keeping Japan closed. So Japan was closed to the outside world for trade, except for a small port in Nagasaki, which was open for limited trade, and there were Dutch people, I think, and other people living there. But before that, before this incident, which is called Kaikoku, which means opening of the country. Is it Perry? I think his name is Perry. So Perry came on this big ship. I don't know a lot about it. I have studied it a long time ago, but he came and he basically forced the government to open up to trade with the US and other countries. So anyway, they have a festival every year celebrating this event. I mean, I don't know why, because it's like kind of not a good thing for Japan. I suppose it is a good thing because Japan has become an international country, like become part of the international community, and it was inevitable that it would. But at the same time, you know, they had this policy of not opening up, and I'm sure that the Americans didn't give them the best, you know, when they were negotiating. I don't think Japan probably was the better off in that deal. But it is a thing that makes Shimoda special, so of course the local government makes use of it. So apparently there is an actual replica of the black ships, the Kurofune, they call them in Japanese. So they have a replica of the boat, but we didn't see that because we just went and had food, and then we needed to get to this, we needed to drive to Kawazu, which was on the way home. Kawazu is kind of in the middle of the peninsula, kind of the lower middle, if that makes sense, where Shimoda's right at the bottom. So I will leave this here. I'm sorry that I went on and on. I need to get better at how I'm going to do these. I will just say, before I go, the ink that I used was Asahanada by Tachia. It's the Tachia brand, and it's one of the ukiyo-e inks. So I will go, and then the next time I'm going to talk about a couple of days in the last couple of weeks in July where my friend came to visit, and I'll also have a little haul. So I will see you soon, and have a great week. Bye.